So this just out of the White House as they reveal that the organization they feel is best fit to investigate the origins of COVID-19 as pressure mounts to hold China accountable for unleashing the worldwide pandemic that has resulted in nearly 3.5 million lives lost around the world. Here's what they said.
The WHO, which we rejoined when the president took office, is the body that we have been pressing and is the appropriate body for moving this investigation forward.
Nikki Haley accused the World Health Organization of bowing to the communist Chinese government last year. She is former UN ambassador, former South Carolina governor, and founder of Stand for America PAC. Ambassador, always good to see you. Thank you so much for being here today. So you hear that. Jen Psaki says that the White House believes that they are obviously, she seemed pleased that they have rejoined the World Health Organization, and that's who they're going to press to find out what happened with China and the origin of this virus.
You know, I mean, this is what I can tell you is we are way past time getting answers from China, way past time getting answers from the World Health Organization. Back when I was UN ambassador, the president had me go to Vienna and I met with the International Atomic Energy Agency to find out exactly what was going on in Iran. There is no reason why the U.S. ambassador at the UN has not called for a Security Council meeting with the Secretary General there asking China and the World Health Organization what they knew, when they knew, how they knew it. And someone needs to be going to that lab to investigate exactly what's going on in the lab. The problem with this whole lab leak is when this first came out, the media ignored it. Big tech shut it down, and then you had the World Health Organization cover it up. So it's hard to know who we can trust and who we can't. What I do know is that the United States right now is giving $10 billion to the United Nations. $1 billion we gave to the World Health Organization in 2019 alone. At some point, the U.S. should get a return on their investment to at least find out how 3.5 million people have died and what the world is going to do about it.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, we used to see you holding the feet to the fire on issues like Israel, on Iran, on the nuclear proliferation in Iran. And I'm just wondering, I'm waiting for that moment, right, where our ambassador looks all of those people around the table from China and elsewhere and says, you know, this many people have lost their lives. We need to hold you accountable. China is now saying, you know, we've already looked into all of it. We're done. Our investigation is complete. We think it's time that we started looking at other countries to figure out if it came from them.
I mean, look, you can't trust China. They love to distract, and that's what they're trying to do. But the job of a UN ambassador is to raise these issues that the UN doesn't want to raise. And I can tell you right now, so many countries are furious over how many of their citizens have died from COVID. This is when the momentum is with us. And the last thing we need to do is have China go and host an Olympics where they come out as the superpower of the world and us never even had a hearing on what happened, us not go to the World Health Organization and ask what happened. I mean, right now, the World Health Organization is meeting right now, Martha, and the one country that sounded the alarm that said, this is what's happening, there's human-to-human transmission, Taiwan is still not being allowed to even be an observer in that meeting. How is that possible? I would be railing at the UN right now.
So that's an interesting point. And, you know, I just would encourage everyone to think back to the scientists who disappeared or were silenced or who may have died. You know, some of them died of COVID, in fact, before they were speaking out about what they saw going on in China. So would you use this as Olympics leverage? Do you think that the White House needs to say, unless we get the answers we want, we are not coming. We're not showing up for your, international Olympic moment?
We should absolutely boycott the Chinese Olympics, but we should have other allies and friends do it with us. Australia has already asked for an investigation and is trying to work with us. Canada has asked for a boycott. Go to Japan, go to India, go to all of these other allies, and let's say, look, until we have a full investigation of that lab, until we know what's in it, what precautions are being done to make sure nothing comes back out of that lab, and until we know what China knew, when they knew it, and what they did about it, we are not going to support the Olympics. This is the time for leadership and action. This is not the time to just say, oh, well, that happened. 3.5 million people died.
So, what about the National Institutes of Health and the National Institute of Allergies and Infectious Diseases that's run by Dr. Fauci? Do you have questions about the funding that went to China potentially for gain of function research? And he says it didn't happen, that none of our dollars went to gain of function, which makes viruses more potent and more virulent, which is very scary in the world that we live in. What would you do about those institutes?
I think what's really important is Congress needs to go through and find out exactly what the National Institute of Health knew about the Wuhan lab, what they knew about any of these viruses that existed, if they funded anything, and what they did about it. I think it's extremely important we know what our relationship was with that. If there's none, great, but we need to know that for certain. And we also need to know about what we fund. And that's why I said for a long time at the UN is don't be throwing money out to buy friends. Only send money out to those who are truly our partners, that truly have the best interests of us, and we have the best interests of them.
Yeah. I want to play something very quickly for you from the governor of Florida, and just a very quick thought on this other topic about Twitter and how it is shutting down a lot of voices in America. Here's what he said.
But I do think that's another issue that has been brought to bear when you deplatform the president of the United States, but you let Ayatollah Khomeini talk about killing Jews. That is wrong.
There is, just the most virulent language on Twitter right now about Jewish people. What is your thinking on what Twitter needs to do to shut that down?
Congress, get to work on Section 230. That's my answer to that.
Nikki Haley, always great to see you. Thank you very much, Governor.
Thanks so much.
For being here. We'll see you soon.